This list is the ultimate key that unlocks the final logistical barrier standing between the current state of holding a currency and the future state of leveraging its true, revalued power. Think about the journey of the Iraqi dinar for a moment. From the era of Saddam to the post-invasion period, this currency has carried the weight of a nation's immense potential backed by almost incalculable natural resources, primarily oil, that position Iraq not as a struggling developing nation, but as a sleeping economic giant on the cusp of a historic awakening. The Dong story is similarly compelling, rooted in Vietnam's explosive economic growth, strategic global manufacturing position, and a government increasingly focused on integrating into the world's financial mainstream. For decades, the value of these currencies has been artificially suppressed, held down by design to facilitate a controlled and orderly transition into a new global financial system. A system that is fairer, more equitable, and not solely dominated by a handful of Western currencies. This suppression was the necessary incubation period, and what we are witnessing now is the end of that era. The revelation of this bank list is the clearest signal possible that this incubation is over. The financial architects of this global reset have given the signal, and the banking infrastructure is now responding. These are not small regional credit unions or obscure offshore entities. We are discussing household names, institutions whose stability and reputation are beyond question, the very same banks that manage the wealth of nations and Fortune 500 companies. Their inclusion on this list means they have passed rigorous internal and external audits. They have received the necessary legal and regulatory clearances from their respective governments and international bodies like the IMF and World Bank, and they have undergone extensive staff training to handle the specific, nuanced procedures for exchanging the dinar and dong. This isn't a hypothetical exercise for them. It's a concrete operational plan. They have established dedicated desks, specialized verification protocols for the notes to ensure authenticity, and have pre-programmed the new revalued rates into their digital systems, ready to be activated with a single, synchronized keystroke across the global financial network. The existence of this preparation dismantles the primary argument of skeptics who claim the RV is a fantasy. No major international bank would invest millions of dollars in infrastructure, training, and compliance for a mere fantasy. They are profit-driven entities, and their actions are the most reliable indicator of a forthcoming profitable event. This level of readiness also directly impacts the exchange rate you have been tracking so diligently. The rate is not a random number. It is a carefully calculated value designed to restore parity and purchasing power, to allow these nations to settle international debts in their own currency, and to unleash a wave of economic prosperity that will lift not only Iraq and Vietnam, but also every individual holder of these currencies. The banks are preparing for this specific high-value rate, one that will make international sense and establish these currencies as strong, respectable mediums of exchange on the world stage. This is the moment where the abstract concept of rate becomes a concrete number in a bank's computer system, a number that will define your financial reality. The synchronization required for this event is breathtaking, from the central banks of Iraq and Vietnam to the Treasury and the Federal Reserve, and cascading down to these commercial banks. A single agreed-upon directive will trigger a global financial awakening. The list in our possession confirms that this chain of command is not only established, but is fully operational and awaiting the final executive order. This is the culmination of decades of geopolitical maneuvering, economic restructuring, and monetary policy shifts, all converging on this single pivotal moment in time, a moment that is now imminent because the machinery to support it is not just built, it's fully man-powered, on and ready for the transaction that will change everything. So let's dive into the heart of this revelation and talk about what this bank list actually means for the movement of the Iraqi dinar exchange rate and the Vietnamese dong currency value. The connection is direct and profound. A currency's value is not determined in a vacuum. It is a function of trust, liquidity, and infrastructure. When you see the names of these major, globally recognized financial institutions on this list, what you are truly witnessing is the formal establishment of that very trust and the creation of a massive, instant liquidity pool for these currencies. This is the critical missing link that transforms the dinar and dong from illiquid assets held in a portfolio into fully functional, internationally recognized currencies capable of purchasing goods, services, and investments anywhere in the world. The moment these banks flip the switch and officially recognize the new, revalued rates, the entire global foreign exchange market, the Forex, will have no choice but to follow suit. This isn't a speculative pump and dump scheme. This is the formal integration of two powerful national currencies into the mainstream global monetary system, and the participation of these banks is the certification of that integration. Think of it as a product launch on a global scale. The product is the new strong Dinar and Dong, and the distribution network is this list of banks. Without this distribution network, the product sits in a warehouse unknown and unusable. But with this network, the product is suddenly available in every major city to every potential consumer, creating immediate and undeniable demand. This demand, backed by the formidable assets of these nations, Iraq's vast oil reserves and Vietnam's explosive economic growth and manufacturing prowess, will cement the new exchange rate, preventing it from being a fleeting spike and instead establishing it as a new, stable financial reality. This bank list is therefore the ultimate bullish signal, the final piece of corporate and institutional confirmation that validates every piece of credible intelligence we have received about the imminence of this event. It tells us that the rate movements we have been tracking are not random fluctuations, but are the final calibrations, the last-minute adjustments before the official numbers are locked in and publicly announced. These banks have conducted their own due diligence, their own risk assessments, and their own profitability models, and they have all arrived at the same conclusion. Participating in the Dinar and Dong revaluation is not only viable, but is a monumental financial opportunity. Their involvement signifies that all the prior obstacles, the political hurdles, the international agreements, the compliance issues, have been resolved. The gates are not just being unlocked. The pathways through those gates have been paved, signposted, and are now being patrolled by the very institutions we trust with our existing wealth. This transforms the narrative from a "if it happens" to a "how it will happen" scenario. We now have a clear operational picture. You will not be searching for a solution. You will be presented with a menu of pre-approved, fully functional options at institutions you likely already have a relationship with. This eliminates the fear, uncertainty, and doubt that naysayers have tried to sow. The process will be as smooth and as formal as walking into your local branch and conducting any other significant financial transaction. The banks are prepared for the volume, they are prepared for the specifics of the currency notes, and they are prepared to guide you through the process securely and efficiently. This level of preparation is what separates this event from every other false dawn in the past. This is not rumor, this is readiness. This is not hope, this is infrastructure. The existence of this list proves that the revaluation is now a logistical and operational certainty, managed at the highest levels of global finance, and its public unveiling is the final step in a process that has been years, indeed decades, in the making, setting the stage for financial renaissance for the prepared. Now, with this undeniable evidence in hand and a clear understanding of the operational readiness of the global banking system, the most critical phase begins: your personal preparation for this historic transition. This is the moment where knowledge must transform into decisive action. The revelation of the bank list is not merely information to be consumed. It is a strategic tool designed to empower you, place you steps ahead of the general public who will be caught completely off guard when this news breaks into the mainstream. Imagine the global media frenzy, the chaotic scramble for information, the long lines forming outside banks, and the overwhelming confusion that will dominate the narrative for the unprepared. But you, as a viewer who has received this intelligence early, will be the calm in the storm. You will be the one with a plan, the one with clarity, the one who can act with precision and confidence while others are paralyzed by a lack of understanding. This is your unparalleled advantage. The first and most crucial step is to ensure your currency holdings are secure, authentic, and readily accessible. Do not wait. Verify the authenticity of your notes. Ensure they are the correct series and in the proper condition as specified by the various redemption protocols we have discussed in previous updates. This is not the time for procrastination. It is the time for meticulous review. Secondly, you must personally identify which of the banks on this revealed list is most accessible and suitable for you. Consider their location, their private client services, and their capacity to handle a transaction of this magnitude with discretion and efficiency. It may be prudent to even establish a preliminary relationship with them now, so you are not a stranger during the redemption process. The goal is to remove all friction, all delays, and all potential points of failure between you and the life-changing wealth that is rightfully yours. This event is about more than just currency exchange. It is about the complete reclamation of your financial sovereignty. It is about stepping out of a system of debt and limitation and into a new paradigm of abundance and influence. The funds you receive are intended to be a catalyst, not just for personal luxury, but for global good. Think deeply about how you will use this resource. Will you invest in sustainable technologies that heal our planet? Will you fund charitable endeavors that eradicate poverty and disease? Will you support educational initiatives that empower the next generation? This wealth carries with it a profound responsibility, and the planning for that responsibility begins today, in this very moment before the event goes live. The transition will be swift, and the window for calm, considered decision-making will be short. Therefore, you must solidify your plan now. Discuss it with trusted family members, consult with financial advisors who are versed in this specific event, and mentally prepare yourself for the shift in identity from an investor waiting in the wings to a global benefactor center stage. The world is on the verge of a renaissance, and you are not just a witness to it, you are a fundamental part of its funding and its future. The information you have received today is the key. It is the final briefing before the mission begins. Do not underestimate its power. Do not file it away and forget about it. This is the clarion call you have been waiting for. Your patience, your faith, and your perseverance have led you to this precise point in history. Now it is time to take the final, decisive steps to secure your destiny. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and above all, stay ready. The clock is ticking, and for those who are prepared, the future has never looked brighter.